Hey everybody, Mark Flockhart here. Today what we're going to talk about is the whole situation, the epidemic, and how insurance is going to handle this. So I'm going to give you kind of my professional advice and let you know just what the process is, what we can expect, and then which companies are going to likely allow you to skip payments. Obviously, we don't want in insurance, they don't want you to just cancel your policy because at the end of the day, it costs you more money to do something like that. So definitely not a smart idea. Don't cancel your insurance yet. We got to find out for sure what's going on with the government, make sure they're doing whatever they're going to do. If for some weird, crazy example, let's just say worst case scenario, they shut down the whole US for the next 2 months and everybody's stuck at home, which they're kind of starting to show some examples of the next couple weeks they're shutting down, which is definitely devastating people as far as income goes. How do you pay your payments? How do you pay your bills? Today we're going to go over that. We're going to go through some things that you can cut out of your policy. Now keep in mind, I don't recommend necessarily changing it drastically, just because if you do drive, if you're going to the gas station, or if you're going to the grocery store, you want to make sure that you at least have the correct coverages so that this pandemic doesn't turn into a life-altering thing beyond what it already is. You don't want it to financially affect you as much as possible. A couple things to know on your policy. The first thing that you can do and you can cut out is you got to think about, okay, am I going to drive at all? So if I have multiple vehicles on my policy, maybe I can cut down to one vehicle. Now, because it's registered, if your vehicle's registered with the state, then you legally in most states have to have it insured. So how do you get by with being legal and still saving money? Well, the best way is to do what's called storage. As long as you have 2 vehicles or more, you can put one car in storage. Basically what they require is you disconnect the battery, so it's just sitting there. That way there's not a risk of it catching fire, but it's sitting there, you put it in the garage, you're not going to drive it, you put what's called storage insurance on it, and what that does is it removes all of the liability limits and risk off of that policy. It still keeps the car or vehicle insured. What it does, in order to keep it insured, it gives you comprehensive. So if a paint can falls on it while it's in the garage, or if someone steals it or scratches it or something like that, you still have coverage on the vehicle, but you are stating that you're not going to drive it. So there's no liability limits. Whatever your 100, 300, or whatever your limits are is non-existent on that vehicle. That usually cuts out the biggest portion. That'll cut out a few $100s typically, and so that's going to save you the most. If you have to drive the vehicle and you need to drive it, then something to think about is maybe raising deductibles. If you're trying to cut costs somewhere, having a large deductible is your version of saying, I'm going to be partially responsible or more responsible for the deductible. So I'm going to take some of that risk off the insurance company and I'm going to pay a higher deductible. Let's do $1,000. Typically past $1,000, it doesn't make a big difference. Each state's different, so you may want to try it. You can go to $1,500, $2,500, and I usually don't see it, but every once in a while there's a company that lets you go $5,000. But at that point, unless you've got a really expensive vehicle and you're willing to out-pocket $5,000 if you crash, then that's up to you at that point. I personally don't think it's worth the extra cost to go past that extra $1,000, but try it with your policy. Ask the agent, see what it can do, see if it makes a large difference, and it might be worth it. Other things that you can do, not all companies do this, and I don't specifically recommend this, especially since there's a lot of different risks and a lot of things that can go wrong with this. But if you have young drivers and you know that they're not going to drive your policy, some companies, and they charge a fee sometimes and sometimes they don't, but if you have a young driver, you can exclude them from your policy until you need to put them back on. So if you guys commit, hey, we're not going anywhere, I'm going to put this car in the garage, disconnect the battery, I'm going to put just comprehensive on it or just storage insurance on it. Little Billy or little Susie, whoever you are, you're under 25 years old. Since that's raising my price right now, I'm going to exclude you from the policy and pay a small fee, or some companies don't even charge one, but I'm going to exclude you so you're not covered at all if you touch that car. So you're going to be removed from that policy. That'll cut a lot of costs on, and then the one vehicle that I do have, I may raise my deductible up to $1,000. Keep in mind, these are kind of extreme measures, so this is kind of one of those things where you have to cut corners and you have to save as much money as possible. I'm not saying to do this for most people, but the ones that have no other option, it is better to do that than it is to just not pay the bill and let your insurance cancel. So what are some other options? If you have been on a policy for more than 3 or 5 years or longer, you may be already paying more than average because prices go up and down so much. you may want to debate whether you should shop that with a couple different companies or find like an exclusive agent or an independent agent that can shop you with multiple companies. Other things you can do is you can contact your current insurance company. So I know that Grange is doing this, and Liberty Mutual and Safeco is currently offering extensions. So they're allowing people to skip payments. What I'll do is I'll try to put in this video, instead of sending it over to my website and all that stuff, I'm not really worried about that. I'm not trying to get you guys to do quotes or anything. I'm just trying to give back. What I'll do is as I get them, I'll try to put them in the description of this video. So go down there and read which companies I have seen and what they're stating. I'll find their public information so that I can show you guys which ones are allowing you to skip payments or defer payments. So far what I've heard, and this is kind of what Grange has told me, which seems to be the common that I think we're going to see, is they're saying that yes, we're going to defer payments. We're not going to remove the bill. So the bill is still there. You don't have to pay it on that day. But now that you're home and finances are tough, we know insurance is the first thing people look at. Hey, am I going to cancel this? What am I going to do? So they're being mindful that you still owe the time that you're covered because they're giving you that service, but they're going to allow you to defer those payments. And typically what they'll do is they'll spread those payments across your remainder time. So if you have 8 months left of your policy, they're going to take that $300-400 and chop it up into 8 payments and put a little bit on each one. Anyways, guys, I hope this was helpful. Share it with anyone that you think needs advice like this. This channel is all about insurance and helping you guide this. I know the times are tough. It is really tough out there. I'm staying home as much as possible. Obviously, we have to go get groceries and food and things like that. So we do need our cars. We need to get to places. If you're in the insurance industry, you're probably still working because that's one of those things that people need to get in contact with. If there's a life-changing event, you need to get a hold of your agent or your claims department. So we're one of those companies. A lot of us have gone work from home temporarily until this whole thing brushes over. Hopefully quick, soon, please. But if you have something that you had a question on, if you're curious, definitely put that in the comments below. I want to answer anyone's questions. I'm really known for answering every question I can think of. Let me know what state you're in as well so I can kind of look up the specifics of it and try to help you find an answer. I will make a few more videos like this to try to help some people and give you some advice. So if you want to subscribe and get more updates on that for the next couple weeks, I'll probably make them more often than normal. Feel free to interact. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everyone's going to get through this. We will see you in the next one.